Okay, so this time let's go over the subtraction in number basis. So this is the second part of the lesson. So if you've not watched the first part where we went over how to do addition, feel free to do that before coming over to subtraction. I'm going to put the link in the description. Just click on more, you're going to see. Now the first one, we have 50 minus 14. Now they didn't specify the base, so anytime a base was not specified, we work with it as base 10. So this is in base 10 now, and intentionally I put this as the first example because I know you already know this, we are familiar with base 10, but just easy to illustrate what's going to be going on in the other parts to make everything very easy. Now let's start our subtraction. Now we have 0 for the first column. We have 0 minus 4. Well, you see that 4 is bigger than 0, so it can't go. That's the language you use. So we have to borrow, right? So when we borrow from 5, what will be left there is 4. But that one we now borrow is not going to be 1. It's going to be what now? 10. Do you know the reason for that? Is because of this is in base 10. The counting is in base 10. So anything you borrow is going to be, the value is going to be that of the base. So if it is in base 10 and you borrow, what you're borrowing is no longer 1 but 10 instead. So that's the same principle for other bases. Okay, let's finalize. So you have 10 minus 4. 10 minus 4 is 6, and then 4 minus 1 is 3. So our answer is 36 in base 10. So we use the same principle for every other operation. Now let's move on the next one. We have this base 2 now. Please take note. 1 minus 1. Well, 1 minus 1 is just 0. So we have 0. 1 minus 0, that's for the next column, is also 0. Now, for the third column, we have 0 minus 1. You can't subtract 1 from 0, so you have to borrow. So to borrow, we are going to borrow from this. Is going to remain 0 there, but because of it's in base 2, just like we did in base 10, when we borrowed 1 it became 10. In base 2, when we borrow, it's going to become 2 because of it's the base. So we now have 2 minus 1 to be 1, and our answer is 100 base 2. Again, let's move on to the next question, C part. So pause the video and just try to see if you can do it yourself. That's the best way of learning. So for the first column, we have 0 minus 2. Well, we can't subtract 2 from 0, so we have to borrow. So we're going to borrow from this one. It's going to remain 0 there, but because of our counting is in base 4, whatever we borrow is going to be what? 4. So 4 minus 2 is what now? Is 2. Now for the next column, you see that what we have left here is 0, and we cannot subtract 2 from 0, so we have to borrow again. It's going to look a bit stuffy, but just so you understand. So this one now is remaining 2. Again, what we borrow is no longer 1, but it's going to be 4. So we have 4 now. So 4 minus 2 there again is still 2. Now 2 minus 1, that's for the last column. 2 minus 1 is 1. So our answer is 122. Sorry, that should be base 4. Our answer is 122 in base 4. Now the last question for this video, I would like for you to pause the video again and see if you can do it yourself. Again, we have 0 minus 3. Well, we can't subtract 3 from 0, so we have to borrow. Now we have a challenge because we can also borrow from the next column. The next column is also 0, so we are borrowing from 4. So this will remain 3 here, and then we cannot just carry the one we've borrowed straight to this place. No, we have to go through the due process. So we're going to put it here first. So we have it here now. Okay, this is base 5, so what we're carrying is 5 now, no longer 4, because this one is in base 5. So what we borrow is going to be 5, but again we now have to borrow from that 5 to add to the next column. So if we borrow 1 from that 5, I'm just going to clean it. It's not going to remain what? It's not going to remain 4, and then we'll carry over the other one, which will now become 5 here. So I hope it makes sense the way I'm doing it. So we now have finally for that column, the first column now, 5 minus 3. 5 minus 3 is 2. The next column we have 4 minus 2. 4 minus 2 is still 2. And then the last column we have 3 minus 1. 3 minus 1 is still 2. So 2 everywhere. We have 2, 2, 2 base 5. So if you just understand that whatever you borrow the value of whatever you borrow is dependent on the base you're working with, it becomes crystal clear and easy. So I believe this video was helpful. If it was, like the video, comment, share with your friends. That's the way you can help me, to keep making these videos. And stay tuned, hit the notification bell so you're always notified when you post a new video. And God bless you. Thank you so much for joining.